All right, we are live here on September 1st, 2022. So we can't use this again. So
Timestamp.
we've time stamped it so everybody knows that we're not full, but of course you could we could do whatever we want. Let's just cut that part off.
Clip, Kendra, clip
Yeah.
it.
We'll just make that the let's keep redoing that intro 30 seconds. Man, these guys really are repeating themselves. They must know what they're talking about and really mean it.
Well, given the fact that we're probably going to talk about the FedEx Cup and all the other all the other things, kind of timestamps us no matter what. But yeah, speaking of that, I mean, what a cool finish to have
Oh
Rory
boy.
take the cake. I mean, Scotty Scheffler, don't get me wrong. I think he's great. He's obviously an incredible player, awesome for the game. Seems like a really good dude, very low drama kind of a guy.
Yeah.
But there's just something storybook ending-ish about Rory coming in and giving the middle finger to the live golf crowd and saying, this is my town and we can put on a show. So as he walks away with 18 million smackers in his pocket. So he doesn't need that live contract for what would probably be $500 million or something.
Oh my gosh, what would they pay him? It would be outrageous.
It would be crazy.
But again, he's got generational wealth already. Why does he care?
He's fine. But no, that was a fun tournament to watch. I didn't see, I saw like kind of the end of Saturday, and then I guess I think they had a rain delay or got rained out. And so they had to finish up their third round on Sunday. And then when I turned it on Sunday afternoon, I was at my parents' house. We drug the TV out by the pool, and it's like, holy cow, Rory is right there. What's going on? And Scheffler just didn't have it. He just didn't have his game,
Yeah, it's Rory had that little extra motivation. What did he shoot, a 66 on Sunday?
Something like that. Yeah, and Scheffler was what, 3 over, I believe.
Yes, 72 maybe. Matt Gio probably knows the answer to that. He's a golf nut.
He's always in the mix.
I see that mug again.
What's up, Matty? Good to see you, bud.
Good. How y'all doing?
Good. Real good, man.
What's going on, buddy? What's up, Marina? Let's see. Jeff Miller, just a little housekeeping. You mentioned that we could back listen to previous webinars. Do we have a page set up for that?
I don't think we have an archive page. We probably should do that. I know we put them out every week, and then
it comes in an email.
But I don't know that we've actually created a page where people can just go and click on all the old ones.
Unless you did it, because I haven't done it.
I have not done it. So
I'll make a note.
There's our answer.
All right. I'm making a note of that.
Make another note for Kendra to see about getting we got some new gear. See about getting our new gear up on the website. So some new shirts. One specific new style of shirt, one new color, and I'm working on the hats. So
Matt Gio rocking the
there we go.
Stickers,
the Horizon logo. Stickers work. Hey, they're sticky.
They're sticky.
Those are the best stickers ever, right? They go through the dishwasher and they stay on. I've had this thing on for about a year, probably.
Yeah, this one right here too.
Good stuff. We need to get those on the website too.
No kidding. Jeff Miller. It's so confusing. We've got too many Jeffs on here.
You usually call me Bodine anyway. So
Bodine. I'll see what's going on. I don't know why you're not getting those replays. But yeah, you're literally on the top of my list there. New gear. You know what? I haven't worn, like, the spoiler alert. There's like a heather gray with a heather gray 18 strong, like that monochromatic thing. Everybody, I think it's super, super cool. And I have not worn it yet.
You haven't?
No, I don't know if I have one yet.
Well, I know you have a load of them in your basement.
Yeah, down in the inventory.
That's right. So yeah, we got to get those up. Those have been pretty popular around the gym here. Pretty hot item.
I probably need to ask Kendra about the ladies' t-shirts. I really, really want to have a t-shirt over the pond here. I'll put it up on the range at the club, and then I put it in the gym. I put it everywhere. I don't know what size, and I don't know how I get it. But I will get one day. I have promised myself I will get one.
Oh, we'll get you one.
Yeah, we'll get you one for sure. Yeah, do me a favor, Marina. Send Kendra a note. Just we'll let you ladies talk sizes and
Okay.
figure out what would be the proper one to get to you. But yeah, we got to have you representing one over there for sure.
Okay, thanks. I'll talk to Kendra.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Kendra at 18strong.com.
Cool. What else is happening? Corn Ferry Tour finals are this weekend, which I'm hoping to watch a little bit of at some point this weekend. So this is the course that I went to last year, Victoria National, to watch Indiana, Newburgh, Indiana. So I went up to watch Hayden on Saturday, Sunday, and what a cool course that is. Apparently it's the hardest course on the Corn Ferry Tour all year long, I think by multiple shots, according to the average scores, but it is a beast. And those guys, I mean, there are shots there that like the one hole, I don't remember if it's number 3 or 4, it's a par 5. And it's like, I don't know what it was playing, probably 600 yards or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the second shot, if you're going for it, is a blind shot over this mound, over these trees to a green that is about the size of, I mean, it's small. It's, maybe, I don't know, whatever. Think small. Think a small green surrounded by junk and a couple bunkers around it. They can't even see it from the fairway. And, I remember Hayden's coach, Chris saying, if you're within 250 and you got a decent, in your decent spot in the fairway, go for it. Like you can't see it. So Hayden's caddy literally said, you guys go up on the hill so we know if we hit, like, let us know if we hit the green or not. Like they had no idea. And if you missed, you could be in the junk, you could be in the bunker. So he actually ended up in one of the greenside bunkers and kind of got lucky with a little chip out of there. But it's unreal. Seeing these guys in person is just lights out crazy.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. That sounds like a good place to go looking for golf balls.
Yeah.
In the woods over there.
Yeah, it would be. Otherwise you lay up and it's a little chip shot in, but yeah, cool. Very, very cool course. It's one of those courses from, if you guys have heard of that Dormy Network, one of my clients actually joined the Dormy Network, and it's a pretty cool concept. You're a member of the Dormy Network, and I think they have 5 or 6 clubs around the US. So like one's down near Pinehurst, one's in obviously up there, one's in Texas. There's a couple other like really cool courses, and then they're building another one somewhere out west, I think. But yeah, pretty sweet deal. So they've got cabins and stuff that you can stay in. So he got it. He's an insurance agent, so he takes clients to these different courses.
Awesome.
And yeah, pretty sweet.
The Dormy Network. Yeah, I see it right
Network.
here.
Yeah.
That's pretty
For
cool.
a while, they were doing a hard push on the Golf Channel with some advertising. So you might have seen it or recognize the name.
Oh, yeah, they got a little interactive map on their thing. Whoa. Nice. Yeah, that's a cool little deal. I mean, I especially like to play different courses all the time.
Yeah, it's funny. So he belongs to a club here in town, but he's so like crazy busy. He has utilized. I don't think he's played a single round at his golf club here in St. Louis, but he's played 5 or 6 rounds in the Dormy Network.
Yeah,
So
things are going well.
that has paid off very well for him. But yeah, cool concept. I
Nice.
think they're just continuing to grow.
Any noteworthy golfers on the Corn Ferry we should be watching?
Well, Chris Nagel's in it, so
Oh, very cool.
this is like his last shot, because I don't think he has fared very well the first 2. I know he missed the cut in the first one. I don't know what he did last weekend. But if he's not anywhere close, he pretty much needs to, I think, win or top 5.
Yeah,
So-
he missed the cut last week too.
He did. So
Yeah.
so 2 missed cuts. So that doesn't bode well. So need
It was only
a.
one stroke, I think. I think he was only 1 or 2 strokes off the cut line.
Was he really?
Yeah.
That's a shame. So either way, he's got status for the Corn Ferry Tour for next year, so that's obviously comforting. But you know, these guys are fighting to get a PGA Tour card, which would be pretty insane. Because I guess I would assume these guys fall into that category too. If you get your PGA Tour card with this new bonus structure that they have, they've got the $500,000 guarantee.
Right.
So these guys that they get their card, they're guaranteed 500 grand next season, you know, at least. And then if they make more than that, you know, that it's kind of a draw off of that. But
Right. Yeah, you don't start making over 500 until you make over 500.
right.
But yeah, guaranteed. That's, I mean,
But you
Shoot.
get your card this weekend, it's like, whew, okay.
it's a $500,000
500.
bucks.
Yeah. Then you got all your, you know, flights and hotel and all, you know, that all that stuff's already covered. You don't have to sweat that stuff and you can just go play golf. So
That's crazy. Just in the last month that changed.
yeah.
Like all of a sudden these
I
guys
think the
are,
last
"Ah,
2
all right, all
weeks.
right." Yeah, like yeah, super recently.
Yeah.
That would have been nice for Hayden last year. Well, now, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he have to finish like top 5 in the last event? The one the same event.
So he finished 7th in the overall, I believe. I don't remember where he finished in that tournament. So he didn't have to finish in like top 5 or anything in the final tournament. They looking back at the numbers, I think he might have had it pretty much locked up going into that weekend, but at the time they did not know. So the way it all played out, I think they said that he probably would have made it anyway, but it was nice for him he played really well that weekend too. And had I don't remember where he finished on that tournament itself, but I think he came in 7th overall of those 25 guys. So that was cool.
Yeah, I know he was getting a lot of good coverage that day or that weekend on the Boob Tube for those of us who weren't lucky enough to be there.
Yeah, because he was playing with I think on Saturday he played with Trey Mullinax, who is the guy that kind of led almost from wire to wire and then lost on the final back 9. I think his name is Joseph Bramble, came in and just played lights out and was like, I don't know, 6 under on the back 9 or something like that, and ended up sneaking through. So maybe Hayden did have like a top 5 in that. I can't remember, but either way, that wasn't the big deal. It was secured card. And then they had it was really neat to be there for the card ceremony and everything, standing on the 18th green there. We were all there. And just seeing those guys, you know, all being announced and getting to sit and cheers their glasses and the whole deal.
Yeah, it had very much like a Stanley Cup feel to it because it was like printed on, you know, like a Stanley Cup. It's still done by hand, so it's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like the cards kind of had that look to them. Like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's
they make it like a rugged
card.
Like a rugged looking kind of a deal. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and honestly, up until I don't know, a decade ago, I didn't know it was actually a card. I just thought it was like something like more of a status thing.
Yeah, same. I mean, I just figured it was just kind of an illusionary thing, but no, it's a physical card. I got to hold it in my hand, and it was heavy and pretty neat.
To carry it with him in his wallet.
I doubt it.
Just
It's hard to get on an airplane.
in case he forgets his ATM.
Right.
It's like Apple Pay at any golf store.
Free
He
golf.
gets it.
Free
Yeah.
golf.
Cool.
Yeah. And so speaking of all the changes with the PGA, I had a cool talk with Adam Long on Monday. So I'm going to get that thing edited up and finally put out a new podcast episode. I know it's been a long time coming, but so we got a good one there. And then I've got a couple other ones that are in the works with a couple people that I've been chatting back and forth with. But Adam's awesome because he'll talk to you about anything, you know, like I asked him about the live golf stuff and all the new things happening with the PGA Tour and told him, you know, hey, if there's anything that I don't want to put you on the spot in any way, shape, or form. So if there's anything that we say or that you say and you don't want me to share it, he's like, whatever, dude. Whatever I say. So it was really good, but it was interesting to hear the dynamic of, you know, inside the ropes, what's been going on. And he basically said this whole year has been kind of a shit show, and it's been very distracting. And in his words,
Yeah.
he's like, we're so tired of talking about the whole live golf thing, but at the same time, that's the only thing that we can talk about, even amongst ourselves, So
Right.
like who's going, what are the rumors? And then, so it was a fun interview to hear him talk about everything that's gone down and how, how these new changes to the PGA Tour, how those are going to affect guys like him or the top level guys, the lower tier guys, and then just like his general thoughts about everything going on, which, spoiler alert, he thinks that live golf is not great for the game in the long run. He said, yeah, these short-term benefits are awesome. Like everything that's happening for us on the PGA Tour, no doubt about it. Those are great changes for us. And he's like, I'm going to reap the benefits, but in the long run, I think that it is ultimately diluting the product that golf can put out. So,
Oh, for sure.
So that should be out in a couple of days. That'll be a good one, and we'll try to get that one up as soon as possible.
It kind of has the feel of like European soccer, where you've got the Premier League, you've got Serie A, you've got all these good leagues, and no one league has all the best players in it. Like, let's
That's
just,
true.
for the sake of argument, pick the Premier League. And then you throw Lewandowski in the Premier League, you throw Mbappe, you throw all those guys all in one league. Good God, man, that would be a dream for everybody. So it's kind of like that, where obviously soccer is diluted, like that, where we did have, like, the PGA Tour did pretty much have a monopoly. I mean, you've got the European Tour, but especially in the majors, you get everybody, the greatest players on the planet in the same place repeatedly. So that's a good point that he makes.
Yeah, I never really thought about it like soccer, the fact that is the case, unlike baseball, where pretty much the pinnacle of baseball is obviously you come to the States to play
MLB,
in the MLB, right? Same with American football. But even hockey,
hockey.
I mean, you would imagine that there could be other leagues like a Canadian hockey league,
right.
Like you would think that other countries could kind of do the same style thing, but so I haven't thought about it the way that soccer has broken it up into those different leagues, and you have all these superstars in different roles on different teams. But yeah, to the point of what Rory said, at least for the guys that are on the PGA Tour, it's going to be nice having these elevated tournaments. I think is a cool thing, because now these elevated tournaments will guarantee us that, all the best that are in this league are going to be playing in that tournament. So when you tune in, you're going to have the Rorys and, whoever else is at the top, the Schefflers and the Jordan Spieth, the Justin Thomases, all of those guys playing in those events, where right now it's kind of, except for the majors and like the players, it can be kind of hit or miss, or, maybe like a Muirfield, which
right,
they're pretty much taking those bigger ones already. But even on some of those, it's a little hit or miss as to whether the top guys are going to be there. And so it'll be, I think, more fun to watch these events, just because that they're going to have some real talent. I mean, not that they're not real talent, but the best of the best. Yeah. And everybody has a shot to get in it too, which I think, like if you're good enough to qualify, you can get in. It's not like it's just excluded for those top 20 guys or whatever, the PIP guys.
Yeah, that makes it cool. Yeah, Brandon said, it'll be interesting. Yeah, I think there'll be competition for good players coming straight out of college, which, yeah, you're right. There are obviously there are going to be a lot more spaces open for some more young studs, which was, I mean, that's the fun part when when those young guys come out, when Spieth and JT and those guys all came out at the same time, like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
More of those dudes.
Hard to believe that there's any lack of talent out there, right? I mean, those spaces are going to be filled, and it just opens up more spots to some of these younger guys that are coming up, and even some of the guys that are already there that are going to continue to flourish and blossom into, these top level players. So I don't know. I can't say that I'm all that concerned about any of the guys that left. Now it just depends on, I kind of feel like this trend is probably going to slow down a little bit, as opposed to speed up with guys leaving. Now the PGA Tour has done all this. Now again, there's a lot of money that these guys that Liv is throwing at these guys. So that's the biggest persuader ever. So we'll see. But Cam Smith, I would have loved to have seen him stay, because
Right.
I always liked Cam Smith.
All right, great hair, greatest hair in the game.
Yeah. And but like, can't say, oh my gosh, Cam Smith is gone, I'll never watch golf again. It's not, that's not gonna move the needle for, I don't think, that many people. Now I would like to
No.
so Cam's trainer, Nick Cato, has been on the show once or twice. So I'm going to reach out to him and see if he'd be willing to come back on and just talk about everything, because I think he might work with a couple Live guys now. So I think that'd be a cool conversation to have. Just,
Right.
what's his role? What does that look like? And, what inside scoop can he give us on that? Because I know he was over there with Cam when he won the British Open, and, so he's a part of the mix.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
and if he still has guys that are on the PGA Tour as well as Live, that's an interesting dynamic there.
Yeah, he's going across the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
If he's got both. That's interesting. I was kind of thinking about Brandon's thing about the college, because you don't see too many dudes coming straight from college going right into it. So I wonder if that would make college more popular. So if you start to see, like in the NFL, who all the rookies are, and like they're legitimate rookies, where like the PGA Tour, these guys have toiled around the Corn Ferry and this and that for a while, but it would be kind of cool to see guys come straight from college and go into the PGA Tour quickly, where you can kind of keep track of them, instead of like 5 years later, I remember this guy went to Oklahoma State, things like that.
Brandon or Matt or anybody on the call, Marina, if some of you guys might know this, I know that there's like, what's it called, PGA Tour University, where there is something where like the top X amount of guys, maybe 20 guys, I think get at least some exemption into the Corn Ferry Tour. But do you know if the top several guys get PGA Tour status? Does anybody know that? I want to say there might be some sort of an avenue like that.
Are you talking like college players get PGA Tour status?
Yeah, like the top college players, once you graduate, I think they get, like the top seniors, I think there's some sort of step that gives them exemption into Corn Ferry Tour, and I don't remember if it has any kind of an avenue into the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. It mostly goes into like sponsor exemptions, right? So you look
maybe
at
that's the case.
Yeah, you look at a guy like Bryson DeChambeau, who, right, every week, coming out of college, because he's the USAM champion and he's the NCAA champion, they're going to give him that sponsor exemption, right? And so then he starts accruing FedEx Cup points, and then if he wins, he's fully exempt for 2 years, something like that. And then, that's the really big deal on the PGA Tour is keeping your card. And how do you do that, right? Finishing in the 5, and then the Corn Ferry Tour status, is unique as well, right? So the top 25 throughout the season before the Corn Ferry Tour finals, which is going on right now, which are just the final 3 events, those top 25 guys are guaranteed a PGA Tour card, but it's not like a full blown, like, hey, I want to play in the Memorial, right? It's
right.
It all like status attached to it, that unless you're actually on the PGA Tour or the Corn Ferry Tour, it's really kind of difficult to calculate the points as to who gets into what event and who bumps, that person out based on priority. It's very unique, but the sponsor exemptions and stuff like that, and who fulfills those slots and different things. It's very unique. How they've worked it. So I think with this Live thing that they're going, it's going to be much more solicited towards like a global game in the future, where they're going to have fewer tournaments but try to get bigger tournaments all around, right? Where the PGA Tour was, right, like you mentioned before, not the studs aren't playing every week, right?
Right.
Kind of getting ready for the majors, And then it's much more challenging for the guys that don't have the status or the world golf points. Because I mean, if you miss 10 cuts in a row, right? It's expensive to travel around and play on the PGA Tour, right?
Yeah.
There's just
That's where that new $500 or $500,000 thing comes in, where they're guaranteed that money now because of that. I asked Adam Long about that specifically, if he knew guys that happened to, and he said, yeah, he knows a couple of guys that, they got their card. They then either, I don't remember if it was Corn Ferry Tour or I think it was PGA Tour though. They get their card and then they miss, 6 cuts, and it's like they just, basically spent $5,000 per week to go play professional golf, and now they're out 30 grand because they missed 6 cuts and had to travel and pay their caddy and, hotel and lodging and food and all of these different expenses that they have. So that's where
If
that 500 grand comes in.
right. If you're on the PGA Tour, you're probably not worried about too much, right?
Well, you shouldn't be, but he
Yeah.
like, that's where he said, he's like, no, I've got guys that, they were in the hole after. Now you've got sponsors, but
Yeah.
you look at a guy like Hayden Buckley, and he's really only got one big sponsor. And I look at that as an agent issue. That's something that his agent should have taken care of. And I mean, he's got a Titleist or, something, those guys, he gets paid from them too. But a lot of that is what initially guys would use to pay their caddies, for expenses, things, all of those ancillary expenses. But here's a guy who, I don't know how much he gets from, I forget what bank is on his chest now, but that only goes so far if you don't have 3 or 4 sponsors on your shirt for 50 grand or 40 grand or whatever that might be. So Matt, I saw that you posted the PGA Tour University. Were you able to find anything on what that is?
Yeah.
I perused it, but good God,
Yeah.
just like everything else in the PGA, it's so many freaking rules.
Yeah, they just announced the changes for next year. The top 20 finishers in the PGA Tour University get some status. The top 5 first team All-American, I guess they're using college, lingo. The first team 1 through 5 are fully exempt on Corn Ferry Tour.
Corn Ferry Tour, okay.
And then 6 through 10 second team get conditional membership in Corn Ferry Tour, and they're exempt on PGA Tour Canada and the PGA Tour Latino America for the following season. And then 11 through 20 are third team, and they're exempt on PGA Tour Canada for the current season and PGA Tour Latino America for the following season. So
Gotcha.
That's like the highlight.
Okay. Cool. Thank you for looking that up. Yeah. So, they're starting to do some, but I think you're right, Ryan. Like that will start to give those guys a little bit more coverage of like, okay, who's right now ranked in that top 5 spot that's going to go from college straight to the Corn Ferry Tour. And then to Brandon's point, I think that those guys also probably get, more looks for the sponsors exemptions of a PGA Tour event that might be in their hometown. That's what happened with Hayden with the Sanderson Farms a couple of years ago. He got an invite from, somebody that somebody knew, or somehow they knew him because it's down in Jackson, Mississippi. He's from Tupelo. And so he had a local connection, got into Sanderson Farms, made the cut, made some money. That was his first PGA Tour event. And I think that's even kind of how Jordan Spieth came about. Is it not? Didn't Spieth get a couple exemptions and then he ends up winning, I think at the John Deere, and then he moves on and, kind of the rest is history.
Yeah, sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so again, it's just the whole thing of it, just points.
Yeah.
And have the opportunity to. I'm sure that's the frustrating part. It's like, Jesus, give me the opportunity to accrue some points.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the hard part, because those guys early on, even when you get on the Corn Ferry Tour, you get on the PGA Tour, if you're not guaranteed those starts, and those guys that are, and the way that the Corn Ferry Tour works at the end of the season, you got your top 25 from the whole season. You've got your top 25 from the finals. And the original 25, those guys play in the finals too, but they're basically just playing to increase their status amongst those first 25 guys. And then what happens is they take both lists and they say, okay, this guy is now considered, this guy from the first 25 is considered number 1. This guy's number 2. This guy's number 3. This guy's number 4. And then they go down the list like that. And that's basically how they get their pecking order of who gets to play in what. And then as you play and you earn some money and you make some money, which is why it was so important that Hayden had some really good events early on, because
Right.
then he made money and then that shoots him up towards the top of the list. So now of all the PGA Tour guys, and next time they do a shuffle, he gets shuffled into those bigger tournaments, and some of those guys get shuffled back down into lesser status. So it's a very confusing game. But
I know they need to fix that too, because it's so hard to keep track of guys.
I found this on one of the sites. It says, I mean, obviously they had sponsors money, sponsors exemptions, but since 1980, Gary Holberg, Phil Mickelson, Justin Leonard, Tiger Woods, and Ryan Moore are the only ones to accomplish this straight sort of way out of college onto the tour. So that's not many. But
Really?
yeah, that's what it says. This is ESPA site.
wow.
Huh. I didn't
That's
know
an
Ryan,
interesting
Ryan-
stat.
Yeah, I know Ryan Moore was
Yeah.
such a stud coming out of college.
Yeah, he won the USAM. He played at UNLV, won the USAM, and then I think came straight out of the gate. Yeah.
Is he
So it's
still?
not easy. Not easy.
No, is he still playing?
Yeah.
What a-
Yeah. I saw his name in a couple things this past year. I think he kept his card. Not sure. But that's what I mean. I just think it's so fascinating that these guys that, have been on tour and are like household names to a golf watcher.
Right, to us.
Like you could tune into a Corn Ferry Tour event now or Corn Ferry Tour finals and be like Bill Haas, I think, is in the Corn Ferry Tour finals. Like just you scroll
Right.
down the list and it's like, holy crap, I remember that guy. I remember that guy. And it's these guys, trying to get back out onto the big show. And
Yeah,
now it's even more important than ever.
some of those
What's that,
guys,
Brandon?
some of those guys have like lifetime member status, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Moore has, because he was on the PGA Tour and he's won X money, he just has lifetime status, right? And maybe even same thing with Bill Haas. Like he's not in the FedEx Cup, his world golf ranking is terrible, but they give him sort of some preferential treatment to get on the Corn Ferry Tour, and if he finishes in the top 1 or the top 25 Corn Ferry Tour, he gets his PGA Tour status back. So it's really interesting, right?
Yeah.
If you
Oh, yeah.
look how it rack and stacks, because it's much more interesting with the Corn Ferry Tour now when you look at like who's in the field and how they break it all out, the reshuffle and this, that, and the other, and it's very interesting. So I'm like, it's tough to follow, right?
Yeah.
So hard.
Why is
Yeah.
Camilo Villegas playing in the Corn Ferry Tour? He didn't play on the Corn Ferry Tour all year long. Well, he doesn't have PGA Tour status because he won X amount of money on the PGA Tour. He gets a spot in the Corn Ferry Tour finals. And you're like, okay, and it's just, you mentioned, a Bill Haas, right? Bill Haas he had one like exemption into a PGA Tour event, and this year he used it in the best ball to play with his dad, Jay Haas, who's a PGA, right? And they said it, those things. It was his farewell to the PGA Tour because like his game has gone south. So he's like, I get one tournament to play in this year. I'm going to play with my dad, and there was like no cut in that event. You just play. So he's, kind of guaranteed something. And he probably figured, it's better to do that than go out, and try and grind to make a cut, right?
Well, then I think they won that tournament though, didn't they?
No, I think they made the cut. I don't know. They finished high or something. Bill and Jay Haas. I don't know. I mean,
Check that because I think they won that tournament.
Really?
Or if they didn't, maybe it might have been the oldest guy to make the cut in a PGA Tour event. It was, but yeah, because I remember that being a big story that week. So, but yeah, you're right. It's interesting. You think Bill Haas, former FedEx Cup winner, and
Right.
popping up on the Corn Ferry Tour finals. So yeah,
Right.
all those behind the scenes things like the lifetime exemptions, or they've got those medical exemption kind of deals where you get to play in so many events to try to earn a certain amount of money to get back on, and it can be very confusing if you're trying to pay attention to it.
Yeah, he was the 68-year-old makes history by making the cut at a tour event. 68. Good
That's
Lord.
right. They went and played lights out those first 2 days.
He does not look like he's 68. He's doing something right.
Yeah,
He's doing his EFDs.
that's right.
He
That's
must
right.
be.
Yeah, speaking of doing things right, we should probably get to the topic of our call today, huh?
Do that right, would you?
Yeah.
Right. Stupid live tour taking over all the time.
Always.
Just dominating the
Great
conversation.
It's just healthy. It's just healthy banter of stuff that we like, right?
Right.
Can't talk about fitness all the time.
Nah, it's boring. All day long.
But yeah, this week, given the fact that the FedEx Cup is over, I was kind of thinking, what's a good topic for this week? Because now it's almost like, all right, things are kind of shutting down a little bit. Obviously, there's still great weather. Most people are still playing a lot of golf, especially where we are. In fact, we're kind of getting into, I think, the prime of the season here in St. Louis,
Yeah.
where it starts to cool off a little bit. We start to get some really great weather days. You can go out and play golf in, long sleeves or sweaters or pants and stuff like that. So I love this time of year to go play golf. In fact, have our Ryder Cup next weekend in
Cool.
Columbia, Missouri. So that'll be a lot of fun. But I was kind of thinking, like, one of the biggest issues golfers have is they wait too long, or they just wait completely until
Right.
next season begins. And then, like, oh, shoot, this was going to be the year that I really did something in the off season and got myself prepared. And I promised myself told myself last year, because when I started playing golf in the spring, I didn't feel great. My body didn't feel great. I wasn't playing very well. I said, next year, I'm going to be in shape.
Right.
Next year, I'm going to prepare. Next year, I'm going to plan. For the longest time, Ryan and I, we had a family tradition where two family traditions. One was on Thanksgiving Day, we would run basically a 5-mile race in a park here in St. Louis. And so, you get up early, 8:00 a.m., you do this, what we call the turkey trot. And every year was like, oh, next year I'm going to come in prepared for the turkey trot. I'm going to get a good night's sleep. I'm going to run. I'm going to train for it a little bit, and I'm going to win that thing.
Still waiting for
funny
that day to happen.
Funny story. I never did beat my dad. My dad beat me every single time. My dad probably won the thing 15 times, but never did beat my dad. Even when I was playing college soccer, was always a faster long distance runner than me. So that's why I was always like, next year's the year I'm going to get him. And then we also play in a January 1st soccer game, which, Matt, do you know how cold it is here in St. Louis in January? It can be snowy, it can be icy, but January 1st, 1:00, we always have a soccer game with this men's club that our family belongs to. And the same thing. It's like every year you get done playing or you get in the game and you're like, man, I feel like crap. I haven't kicked a soccer ball in 6 months. I haven't sprinted in a long time. Next year, I'm going to get in shape. I'll be ready for we call it the Chorizo Bowl. It's between the Spanish Society and the Mexican Society over in Illinois. And we're like, we're going to get in shape. We'll be ready for the game this year. And that tradition's been going on for what,
70,
over 70,
75?
I want to say in the 80s.
It might be in the 80s, yeah.
And, we've been playing since we were seniors in high school or whatever. And every year it's like, I'm going to be in shape next year. And so that's the crux of every golfer's off season. They get into springtime. Oh man, golf's about to hit and I haven't done anything that I said I was going to do. And so I really just wanted to kind of put it out there that now is kind of the time to start thinking about what this off season is going to look like for you, or, what you want next season to look like. So even looking a little bit further ahead, what kind of shape do you want to show up in at the beginning of the season? Brandon and Matt and Marina, like, you guys know that we talk a lot about, shaping the identity that you want, right? And what's that future identity that you want to become, because you have to kind of go to the future and pull your goals from your future of what you want that to look like. And so most of the time we just don't think about it. It doesn't cross our mind of, okay, if I want to be at this point, what does that entail me doing if I backtrack? So, and I'm not even talking so much about structuring your workouts. You know, we've done that before on the show, talking with Tony Soib here, like really breaking down, periodizing what you want to do, you know, what professional golfers, highly competitive golfers, how you're going to periodize your workouts. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking more, a little bit more meat and potatoes. Like, what are the things that you're struggling with right now? What are the things that you want to take care of? You know, some people it's going to be, well, man, I'm really struggling with some physical issues. I've got some pain. I know everybody on this call at one point or another has had an injury, an ailment, back pain, shoulder pain, elbow pain, you know, whatever it might be. Let's take this off season to, you know, maybe your goal is, I just want to feel better. I'm not worried about losing 20 pounds. I'm not worried about getting super strong. I just want to feel better. And so that's going to look, that program or that plan or the things that are going to go into that are going to be a little different than the guy that says, I want to gain 5 miles an hour or 10 miles an hour of club head speed. And that's all I care about. You know, those are going to be kind of two different mindsets of what you're going to go into. Is your goal to have more speed or distance? Is your goal to be stronger? Is your goal to lose weight? Is your goal to simply move better? I mean, there have been times this past year where I've kind of suffered with all of these. Like, man, I've struggled with some back issues recently. Okay. So I wanted to feel better. Sometimes, you know, just, and I know Ryan can attest to this too. When we went out and played soccer several months ago or month and a half ago or whatever that was, It's like, man, I just want to feel like an athlete again. You know, like I want to, maybe what I need to do this winter time is just do some stuff that I used to do when I was playing sports. You know, maybe I do need to get out and just be a little more athletic with my workouts as opposed to just hitting weights in the gym. So there's all of these different components that you should look at. And then that backtracks into, okay, well, is nutrition going to be a part of that? Are the style of my workouts going to be a part of that? You have to start looking at how much time do I have to devote to this? How many days a week am I talking about? How long can these workouts be? Where am I going to do them? Am I doing them in the basement? Am I doing stuff outside? Am I going to the gym? Am I simply going to go find a place to practice golf indoor? You know, so there's all these different components, but most of the time we just don't sit down and think like, there's a lot of things to think about as I go into this off season, and maybe just taking, you know, a half hour one day and just kind of like sitting and thinking about, where do I really want to be? What do I really want to get out of this? And then start writing a few things down, or, you know, start then doing a little bit of homework. Like, okay, if I really do want to work on this injury that I have, or, you know, or my goal is to just, I'm feeling pretty good, I just don't want to get hurt next year. You know, maybe you need to find some sort of a therapist to work with, or, you know, some kind of a specialist, some sort of a local trainer, or, you know, whatever it might be. Maybe you need to go back to the Golf Body Blueprint. Maybe you need to, you know, figure out what are the components that you're going to utilize now to take you from the point where you are to the point where you want to go, or what resources do you need to start looking for that you might not have right now.
Yeah, it always reminds me of like starting a business. It's like everybody, oh, I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. I want everything to be perfect. Like it's never ever going to be perfect. Or like when you want to get married, like, oh, I want to have a nice house. I want to have this job. I want to have that. Like, dude, you're going to be here for the rest of your life, waiting for all that, waiting for everything to line up perfectly for you to do it. So yeah, I like the like in your email, you're just like, just freaking do it. Like, what are we waiting for? You know, it's one of those, you know, tomorrow is promised to nobody.
Yeah.
So it's so silly. And for the record, we've been in better shape the last couple of years for those soccer games and turkey trot than we have in our entire lives.
Yeah.
Just from really doing no cardio. It's obviously sidebar, doing no cardio or anything really. When it comes to like long distance, you know, endurance.
Well, I'm that, you know, the soccer game and even the trail run has really kind of proved to me that how important the fact that on a regular basis, lower, well, typically total body strength training, but making sure that your lower body is strong will help you in a running situation.
Yeah.
You know, for those soccer games, at least the last 2 years, there's been a little bit of training for the trail run. The last year for you, but the year before for me. But yeah, I mean, just there's been so many subtle lifestyle changes that we've implemented on this journey of 18 strong, really, that honestly, I really do. It's funny. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I have reduced my facial hair quite a bit as of late.
Reduced it
And-
to zero.
to zero.
Right.
And it's the first time I've shaved with a real razor in a long time. At least there have been times where I've done it once and then I just let it grow back out. But it's a continuous thing right now, as of last week. But part of that is because I just noticed how gray my beard was getting and how much older I looked. But now that I shaved it, like people are like, dude, you look like you're 20 years younger right now. And it's partially because, you know, I've been going back to my old high school because my son is going there now. And so I'm seeing a lot of guys that I know from high school. And
Right.
some of them have done a great job staying in shape. Some of them have not. But that's kind of the point, is like some of these subtle changes that we've just implemented over the last several years, both Ryan and I and our whole crew, really, it almost makes it feel like we're not working that hard at it. But it's also because a lot of it has just become habit, as far as like nutrition and the fact that we work out pretty much, you know, 5 days a week at least, get out and walk the dog, like all these different things. You look at it now from a whole package, and it's like, well, we just do a lot of the things, a lot of good things, but they're just kind of habitual now. And that's kind of the idea, is, again, that whole identity piece of, you know, what does that look like when you get to that point where you want to be? And I'm not saying that I'm where I want to be, but like you have to
Right.
then start to build up those habits that turn you into that lady or that guy or that golfer or, you know, that athlete or whatever. And so figuring out what that looks like is so important. And I just think that most people don't take the time to really think about that. You just kind of look at your day to day, and then you kind of see where you are. And then all of a sudden you see like, holy crap, I'm so much further away from where I used to be. And now it's going to be that much harder for me to get back to that level of strength, that level of fitness or whatever. And then you start to almost kind of like give in a little bit, you know, you start to
Right.
let yourself kind of fall into that false truth of, well, this is just kind of how it is. And I'm 44 years old and this is just expected. And hey, I look pretty good for a guy or girl my age, or I'm doing pretty well, but it's like, well, why settle for pretty good? Why do that? And then to your point, like sometimes you just got to say F it and start doing it. The book that I'm currently reading, I don't know if any of you have heard of this, The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. It's like,
I know what it is in the restaurant where you drop
it's
something for 5 seconds.
she's like, she said, you know, she didn't really realize how many 5-second rules there were when she made this up, but it was literally, it's basically the simplest thing ever. When you find yourself in a situation where you know you should do something that's going to better you, or, you know, it's like, it's one of those situations where if you sit and ponder it too long, you're going to just kind of put it off and procrastinate. And she literally will count out loud and say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And then like a rocket launch. And there's a lot of like brain science behind why it works, but she did it one morning just to get herself out of bed. You know, her whole backstory of some other, you know, major issues going on in her life, just kept hitting the snooze button, just didn't want to face the day, and got it from basically watching a rocket launch and was like, you know what, that's what I need to do. I need to launch myself out of bed in the morning. And the next morning she counted down like that. And then she's like, whoa, that actually worked, and did it again, and then did it again, and then started using it in other areas of her life. And it's very fascinating, because sometimes we sit there and it's like, you know what, I should start working out. I should start my off-season program, or I should start walking every day. It's like, okay, well, and then you start to think about, well, here's why, you know, that's going to make me get up really early. It's going to be kind of cold outside. You know, you start to, within those 5 seconds, you start to just tell yourself why you can't do whatever you just said you wanted to do. And that can be a very grand scale dream of, vision of what you're trying to do with your game or your business or your fitness or whatever, or it could be something as simple as, going out and walking every day. We have this natural tendency to just start to tell ourselves why that's a bad idea, why that's not going to happen. And she's like, fuck it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going for a walk, and it's kind of fascinating. I'm only 30, 40 pages in, but she has a TED Talk, Mel Robbins. And apparently the TED Talk, I haven't even watched the TED Talk, but it's like the last 5 minutes of the talk. It wasn't even like the point of her talk. She just kind of threw in this thing that she had started doing. And apparently it took off like wildfire across the internet. And then, now she has a book about it, and the book's probably 4 or 5 years old, I think, but
That's pretty
Yeah.
good. It's think about, and I've never done this because I'm not a crazy person. Like everybody you see bungee jumping, it's the same thing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you just go, because then
Yeah.
it's like, nope, I can't think about it anymore. Because if you think about that, especially, you will never jump.
exactly. That's the exact premise of it. And then she said, like all these other 5-second rules that she, like the 5 seconds of food, it's like, they're all like 5 seconds to action, because if you think about it any longer than that, you're not going to do it. If you think
Right.
about that thing sitting on the floor longer than 5 seconds, you're not going to pick that up and eat it.
I'm not going to serve it.
Right.
Right.
But it's like one of the simplest things, but I can see how it can be so, because we all have that little toil in our head, right? We've all been there. We're like,
Oh,
I mean, shit, we've all probably done it this morning, where it's like that one little thing, like, and as soon as you have that little, like, oh, should I? That's when it needs to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And like, I want my daughter, I want my son to read this, because
right.
and my little guy, Grant, I mean, I'll sit and have a conversation with him, because like he'll think it's kind of a cool game. And, just to have that mindset of, sometimes you're going to tell yourself you don't want to do something. Sometimes just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jump into it, and who knows what opportunities come about and what problems you tackle just by doing that. Because usually whatever you're procrastinating on it's not as bad as you think it is. And once you do it, you're like, why was I afraid of that?
What was
Yeah,
the big
paralysis
deal?
of analysis, Brandon, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
We're all guilty of it.
I maybe me more than anyone on the face of the earth.
I mean,
paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, like even think about standing up over a golf ball. Like, maybe you shrink that down to 3, 2, 1. But how many thoughts can you have over a golf ball? But if you just think 3, 2, 1, go. I mean, I could definitely see that would work as far as getting some of those thoughts out of your head.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's no. Again, it's like Top Gun. If you think up there, you're dead.
Yeah, right.
we can learn a lot from Maverick. But like going back to the thing where, let's just call this off season for the sake of argument, even though we're not quite there yet. But right now we have the gift of time, and where every single person goes wrong is, oh shit, bikini season is a month away. I've got to lose so much weight in such a little period of time. Too much, too fast.
Mm-hmm.
You do it well for 2 weeks, and then it's over. And I forget what the number is, Bodine, but is it 100? It's 120, 140 times people start and quit either a diet or a workout program. And it's because of that. It's like, okay, let's say this is really looking forward, by March 1 next year, you want to be 20 pounds lighter. From here on out, maybe you lose a half pound a week,
right?
If that, or you can wait until New Year's and have to lose, a pound a week. And then the next week, oh, I've got this Christmas party and this, and it just doesn't happen. It's like the slow and steady wins race. And that was the big thing that changed for me. It's like, you're an idiot. This is not working. Just do a little bit at a time. And then it just becomes how you live. And so that's right now is actually like a really, really great time to start anything.
Yeah. I mean, you have time to sit and plan it out. You have time to look at your calendar. You have time to look at everything you have going on over the next however many months. And yeah, you're right. It can't be if you're sitting here and you're aware of it. If you're listening to this call and you're aware of it, it's not reactionary right now. Like, you can be proactive on this. It's when we get to December that you start to be like, oh shit, like I should probably do something. And then you just jump in and you don't know what to do. You don't have a plan. You go in haphazardly, or you do what we talk about all the time. You go in, you try to get it all done in that month, and then you hate yourself after a week and it sucks. And then you're like, F it. We'll do it next year, And
Yeah, next year happens really quickly, by the
and then
way.
we'll
No, this isn't my
send you
year.
this replay next year.
That's right. Stop time stamping it. Yeah, live golf. Yeah, that was a good run they had.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so Brandon said there's a book 3-2 the inner game of golf, and they talk about the 3-2-1 method. Damn it, we're always right behind it.
No, it's this guy. He was a tennis player and he got involved in golf, and he started playing and he got worse, right? So he's like, this is crazy, right? But he's like, I got to think about my arms, my hands, it's not reactionary. So his method, he kind of gets into the psychology aspect of it. And he would say to himself, back, hit, stop, right? And that was and he did a little experiment because he wanted to break 80, and it's all about that. So he has the inner game of tennis, I believe, and then he experimented with it with golf. But there's some, I haven't read into it too much, but there's some studies that kind of go on and like what you can say to yourself in your mind to kind of forget and how it works. And there's a little bit like, for some reason 9 works, 999, and it's just the complete random. But the inner game of golf, I've experimented with it too, and it's nice, right? If you can get used to it and just practice it on the driving range. For me, it works with just back hit. I didn't like the stop, right? And that was kind of an intricate piece where you can experiment with it. I probably don't have the mental capacity to do 3 things. So just back hit, back stop. I was like, the stop doesn't work. I'm not where the stop is, but it's a pretty quick read. It's good. So
Brandon, have you messed around with Tour Tempo at all?
Tour Tempo, I haven't.
It's I can't remember the name of the guy that wrote the book and kind of came up with the whole, what is it?
John Novosel.
Yeah, Novosel. And it's basically that, there's a 3-to-1 ratio of backswing to striking in your golf swing. And all the tour players or majority of the best of the players in the world, you can see that ratio of their swing. Now some have a faster backswing and then therefore swing through faster, but there's an app. Now his son is kind of the driver of the program, but it basically has auditory tones, and you just go practice with the tone. So in kind of what you're talking about, but instead of the words, it's just boop, boop, like it tells you when to go back, when to stop your backswing and when to go. And one of the top players that I've ever worked with, Ellen Port, she told me about it years ago. And she said that was one of the things that really turned her game around, because it got her so much out of her head and just got her thinking of the tempo of her swing. And so, now they've got, I think just an app, you can just throw it in your earbuds, but they used to, in fact, when he mailed me, like it's a whole earpiece and it's got like it's got all the stuff pre-recorded in it, but you can play around with the different speeds of it and you can figure out which one's your more natural speed, but then you just practice with those tones. And I think they've got one for like full swing and then even one for putting. So it's almost like a little metronome, but specifically
Right.
at those ratios.
Yeah.
My favorite one is for tempo. I say my favorite golfers over the years have been Ernie Els. So you say Ernie Els, and that works quite well. And
I like that.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
Or Louis Oosthuizen.
Yeah. Well, no,
Staying alive.
that you brought that up, because that was one of the first things, like you teach a beginner golfer just to say their name, right? So even if you're Jeff Palazzaro, right, you would know, like, if you're, one way or the other. If you're Jeff, right, you can kind of feel it in your swing. So you kind of want to match your name. But the Ernie Els, that's the big easy, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
so I like that. You also have that mental image of his swing, which is just,
Butter.
unbelievable smooth, right? And you're like, how does he hit it so far? It doesn't even look like he's trying. It's just,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
still,
Crazy.
still boggles
And
my
he-
mind.
And his soft hands in the sand. and the tempo in the sand. It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
I-
it's pretty-
explode this thing.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to hit sand across the green so they know that I was there.
Right.
Right.
Ryan doesn't even care if the ball goes on the green. It's just
Nah,
how far can I get the sand to go?
That's right. Hit it like a tee under the ball in the sand. If I get the ball, great. If not, as long as it looks good on a picture.
All that stuff's fascinating, right? Because there's different players make different things work, and it's just like a matter of finding what works for you and sticking with it, right? Even like the psychology level, just figuring out what your personality type is, right? So if you tell somebody who's like super aggressive, like, oh, you need to play a round of golf and hit irons off the tee and, lay up to everything, that would be outside of their personality, right? And probably best that way. But if you're like, hey, you need to go out there and, go for all the par fives, go for it, man, you're going to win. They kind of get that rah energy and, would play better. So there's guys that are like that. And, there's certain guys that play, better strategic or tactical golf. So it's kind of neat.
Yeah, definitely. That's why we love it, for sure.
That's one of the many reasons.
Definitely. All right. I think we're at the time, eh?
Top of the hour. Very good. Yeah. So will you be here next week? Or are you when you head into the Ryder Cup?
I will be here. I will be around. I don't leave till Friday. Yeah.
I hear people, Kendra's sister's getting married this weekend, so a bunch of people showing up to town right behind me. Good timing.
Oh, and I did have a little text chain with a possible special guest over the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to keep you guys on the edge of your seats, but I want to confirm that before I confirm that with you guys. So
cool.
Just so you know. All right, guys, thanks again for joining us this week, and get out and play some golf and think about off season. Think about what you are looking for. Think about it. If there's ways we can help you out, obviously we're here to help, but just kind of start getting that in your mind and start putting a little plan on paper of what you're going to look like next year. What golf season is going to look like for you next year.
Nice.
All right, guys, we'll catch up with you soon.
All right, see you guys.
Stay strong.
Gotcha. Thank you.